Hello shipshaggers! Today we are going to do a little review of the MIG 3 aircraft. It's a rank 4 in the Russian tech tree in War Thunder. So if you're interested in flying this, give this little beast a try. And after some historical background information, I keep it as short as possible. You will actually see me flying this in arcade battle, which I recorded earlier today, and I'm gonna leave that uncommented. But before we hop straight into battle, I will give you some historical background. So here we go. So first of all, MIG stands for Mikoyan Gurevich, if I spell this right. That's the name of the manufacturer. The MIG-3 was actually only built for 1 year, namely from October 1940 until the end of 1941. But during this year, a total of 3,172 aircrafts were built by Mikoyan Gurevich. Of these 3,172 MIG-3s that were built, actually only 981 were put into service starting from June 22nd in 1941 at the beginning of the Operation Barbarossa. The MIG-3 was difficult to fly in peacetime and much more so in combat. It had been designed for high altitude combat, but combat over the Eastern Front was generally at lower altitudes, where it was inferior to the German Messerschmitt Bf 109 and well as most modern Soviet fighters. It was also pressed into service as a fighter bomber later on during the autumn of 1941, but it was equally unsuited for this. Over time, the survivors were then concentrated in the PVO, where its disadvantages mattered less, and last being withdrawn from service before the end of the war. So in 1945, shortly before the end of the war, the MIG-3 aircraft was just retired. So in comparison to other fighters, as before mentioned, the MIG-3 was built for a top speed of 640 kilometers per hour. That's 398 miles per hour, if I'm right on my calculations. And but it only gained this top speed of 640 kilometers per hour at an altitude of 7,200 meters, which is roughly 23,600 feet or above. There it actually was faster than the 615 kilometers of the German Messerschmitt in its version Bf 109 F2 in service at the beginning of 1904, and it actually was faster than the British submarine Spitfire, the 5s with 603 kilometers per hour, if I'm right. But at lower altitudes, the MIG-3 speed advantage disappeared, as its maximum speed at the sea level was only 505 kilometers per hour. And if you are watching the video closely, then you will see when I'm flying, as long as I'm flying high, even in arcade battle in-game, as long as I'm flying above 7,000 meters or higher, I gain a top speed, and when I do the initial dive at the beginning of the video, I almost gain 700 kilometers per hour, which by the way will rip your wings off in historical battle. So you can only do this in arcade battle, what you see me do in the beginning of the video, because it'll easily rip your wings off. But more on this topic later on. So in lower altitude, what that means is the MIG-3 actually became much slower. It was only 505 kilometers per hour, while the Bf 109 F2 could do 515 kilometers per hour. So all of a sudden the BF was faster at lower altitudes. Unfortunately for the MIG-3 and its pilots, aerial combat over the Eastern Front generally took place at low and medium altitudes, where it had no speed advantage. Also, the MIG's loaded weight of 3,350 kilograms was greater than the Bf 109 F2s, so the Bf 109 was much lighter, about 500 kilograms lighter, 500 and a bit, and it was less maneuverable in the horizontal plane than the Bf-109 due to its higher wing loading. This lack of maneuverability, accelerated by the MiG-3's very poor climb performance and its instability at high speeds. You will actually notice this less in arcade battles, but when you are flying this in-game in historical battles and you are flying at very high speed, especially on low altitude, you will notice that the whole airplane starts shaking and it becomes very unstable and very hard to maneuver. Actually it becomes pretty hard to fly a straight line with it. But in arcade battles, that's not the case. There you can basically do whatever you want, but that's not a realistic flight model. Also, another very big disadvantage was its actually very weak armament. The MiG-3 standard armament was only one 12.7 millimeters machine gun and two 7.62 millimeter machine guns. This was a rather light armament by international standards. For example, most versions of the German Messerschmitt, the Bf-109, that it encountered were equipped with one 20mm autocannon and two 7.92mm machine guns. To remedy this problem, 821 aircraft were built with one 12.7mm UBK machine guns and a pod under each wing in mid-1941, but this lowered its speed by about 20 kilometers per hour at all altitudes, which was very unpopular with the pilots, some of whom removed the pods. So they, what the pilots did, they actually started to customize their aircraft, to make it more usable in battle. They were pretty unhappy. Basically, all the MIG pilots were pretty unhappy to actually fly the MIG, because it was so sluggish in low altitudes in mid-air, and weak armament. So even if they hit, they didn't do much damage, and so they started to customize. Actually, 100 aircrafts were equipped with a pair of UBS machine guns, and another 215 aircrafts also had just the UBS machine guns, but were fitted to carry 6 RS-82 rockets, and a total of 72 aircrafts mounted a pair of 20mm Schwack cannons. So a wide variety of armaments were experimented with by various units at the request of their pilots or to make up shortages. So I think this gives you a little historical background about the MiG-3s. Not a very popular aircraft in World War II, not much loved by its pilots, but now let's just hop straight into an arcade battle that I recorded earlier. I will leave this uncommented, but what you will see in battle is I'm not able to keep my altitude, so I gotta fly low, as everybody in arcade battles goes just for the big circ and goes low. And what you will see is me moving away from the pack over and over again, especially when my tail got damaged. Pay close attention to the icon on the left when my tail got damaged, and I stay in battle for a long time with a totally damaged tail. Fly very low and always run away from the pack, turn around, gain distance, turn around, come back, and always try to get into a straight line right behind your enemy, to actually take advantage of your superior speed. But you can only do this in arcade battle, and I highly suggest, if you didn't do so, take this MiG-3 into historical battle and find out yourself. So let's just hop right into an arcade battle, and see you again at the end of the video, and enjoy the battle, have fun.
Areas for free. Areas for B.
So this is it for the day, and this was me flying the MIG 3/15 in arcade battle. And yeah, if you like what you see, just give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment if you got any hints, tips, tricks, what I could do better in my videos, or what you would like to see. Just drop me a note, leave me a comment, send me a message, whatever. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I thank you very much for watching this, and this is Ruffle saying goodbye, sheepshaggers, wherever you may be. Fly reckless.